So with our trusty cube, we'll press Q and add a bevel, roll a few segments, and then we'll draw a cut, but we'll press X and make it into a slice. And we will just perform a few cuts, maybe lower the bevel on this second object, perform another cut, select our primary object, perform a few cuts, maybe even select it and perform a slice on it, moving it so we don't get cornered by the bevel. And with this shape, we'll just select everything and we'll press Q and go under dice. So if we wanted to basically twist this, we would need to SmartApply everything and then join it. So now if you press J, it will join it together, but it'll also perform a SmartApply right before it to ensure that the join happens successfully. That means whenever I press T to twist, I can just click and it will just jump into the twist operation. However, we see that the topology given was a little bit hard for our bevel. So let's actually press Ctrl Z, undo it. Let's select it again. And this time, instead of even joining, which is the topic of discussion, we'll just press T, which will just exit the twist. And let's just reduce our loopage just a little bit. And we click to jump in. And I think it's the loop in the center that's actually doing us in. So let's just reduce it slightly. We press T. And now we see that we're able to get a slightly better result. However, we can always tab in edit mode and just look at our geometry to see what is getting in our way. So we could slide this edge over, we could go under bevel and actually adjust the amount of bevel that's happening. But instead of adjusting the amount of bevel, I like to get in and perform topological examinations. For example, this edge was redundant and wasn't needed to be present, so it's causing some issues. This one is too close to this particular edge, so it just needs to be slid over. So sometimes instead of redicing, as you saw me doing, which could possibly lead to a crash, sometimes it's just a little bit of examination as far as why dice doesn't work out. Keep in mind, there are two different algorithms whenever it comes to dice, with mesh intersect being the one that is typically best for multi-mesh type dicing, as you see here. However, whenever we use dice, we actually use the one called knife, which we can see specified in our UI at the very bottom. If we press Q, we can actually change it to intersect, but really it's too late for that. Really the point was to just show that J will SmartApply and then join the objects, but you could also join them, SmartApply them on the way into twist as well. So however you choose to do it, just letting you know that improvements have been made in that regard. So if you're new to HardOps, dice and twist is one of those ways that we try to ensure new users have a fun time. So I'll press 1, look at things from front. We'll press S, X, and scale things out. And my favorite example with dice is or even my favorite tool test with dice is the following, where basically I will draw the following shapes, and then I will just join them and dice them all at the same time. However, the process is that if you're trying to just jump straight into twist, you can just do that without even having to bother with the whole apply process thinking aspect of things. So we really tried to take some of the guesswork out of dice and twist to try to make them both as streamlined as possible. So before jumping over, we will perform one more join, or in this case a make operation of a cylinder. We'll press A in order to bring it out bidirectionally and plug that into the other side, and we can create one more here as well, just bringing that over to the other side. Keep in mind that anytime you want to adjust your diameter in Boxcutter, you can just press D and do that anytime just by going to the dimensions area of the box slider of the new box helper. So after clicking and applying, we now have a shape that's basically worthy. However, we could make it even more worthy. So let's look at it from the side, and we will just dice this area, or we'll cut this area out. However, we'll ever scroll, bring it back, press D, switch over to box, perform a box cut here, and perform a box cut here, press 1, where we're now looking at it on the side. Or actually, I'm holding Alt to snap my view. Sorry about that. So with this shape, we can ever scroll, bring that back too, and let's just shift click on shade solid, which will give us a solid duplicate. So I'm gonna set my snapping to vertex with Control Shift Tab, meaning that when I move it over, it will just perfectly fit to the side. We want everything to fit inside the box because it's all going to be spinning. But now with this all selected, we could just press Q, go under dice, and choose to dice, but if we press T to twist, we already know that it's going to trigger the behavior of join and SmartApply prior to us having to do this. And there really isn't very complex of modifiers happening with this, so to really make things more interesting, let's put a bevel on this, which anytime you put bevel, it's going to cause you to reevaluate some of your cuts and geometry. That's just the way bevel is. So let's just bring back this particular wedge, and we just want to bring it out so that way it terminates a little bit earlier with the surface than we had it going before. And we could also put a weighted normal on this just because it'll make it look better. And that's really it. So we want this to be the main object because we want everything to be joined to this one that has the bevel. And so we go back under dice again, we press T, and we click and apply, and we're now inside of dice, inside of the twist operation after completing it. So as we bring it in, we see that things get a little bit skewed in the back, but really we could clean that up if we wanted. In fact, we could use dice to clean that up. And what I mean by that is we'll just click to apply this operation, but with our back, we'll need to isolate it. So we'll use sharp because sharp is the quickest way to just help us quickly isolate this area. And we'll jump into dice and edit mode, visually look for what we want, click and apply, and we see that the back now looks properly. So whenever it comes to topological replacement, I expect its final form to be quite nimble at getting in there and replacing topology on the fly, and that hopefully there will be a time where we will just isolate what we want visible, we will select a flow that we want with the geometry that's currently existing, and we'll just take care of the rest. But with this, it's just a matter of us choosing to put a blank material on it. From here, we could Alt-H, unhide everything in edit mode, and just select the main body, press Control-I to select everything that isn't the main body. And under the Q menu, under materials, we can also add a blank material. So there's no Alt-M option in edit mode because I believe M is associated with other things. But just like that, we're able to quickly assign some materials in edit mode. And when we look at the render result, we see that there's probably a little bit of scrolling to do. So let's just shift click on material scroll, which means we're just getting in and replacing the particular graph, but we're keeping the index. Not needed, but we can also shift scroll to jump to the next material in the stack and begin scrolling it as well. And now I'm jumping to the main material and we're just scrolling it to a material that's a little more acceptable. So we can press Alt-V, press S to jump through our environments till we find one we want. We can press V in order to turn it off in case we want to just look at just the object. But just like that is a little bit about join and SmartApply with twist on the fly and just having a little bit of fun with it in bevel.